Hi, welcome to Dreadnought Customs, and this is my guide on what to look for when purchasing a Mark II Sirocco. Right, first off, disclaimer. If you buy a lemon, it's your own fault. This is just a guide. Yeah, if you're going to look at one, make sure you take somebody who knows roughly what they're looking at, knows a bit about buying cars and a bit mechanicals and bodywork and stuff like that. So yeah, so if you buy a lemon, please don't come run to me. This is just a guide. So, Siroccos. Right, where do we start? There's well, first off, all the ones I've got here are UK right-hand drive specs. Obviously, there's different vehicles, different versions in different countries, but yeah, I mean they're all basically the same. So yeah, so the choices are basically early one, kind of pre-84, which hasn't got a body kit, none of the arches and spats and stuff, or post-84. Some of the pre-84s did come with body kits as well. They just seem to just chuck everything on whatever they can. Yes, post-84, which has got the arches and the skirts, which are a bit grubby on this one, but yeah. So that's the kind of body kind of ones. You can get autos, you can get manuals. UK-wise, engines. Some of the early ones were 1600s, but majority of them all are really 1800s. So you got that's 1.8 EX code carburetted, about 90 horsepower. Comes with a Pierberg 2E2, I think, carb. And then you've got the 1.8 DX engine, which I think is about 110 brake-ish. This one's definitely ain't got that, but yeah. 1.8 DX K-Jet injection, which it seems to be a bit more desirable. People do seem to pay a bit more for an injection carb, but I mean the carb's good fun. I've had good fun with that brown one. Scala was carb originally, so that was good fun. So yeah, so it's either kitted, non-kitted, injection carb, manual or auto. There's not a huge amount of autos about. So yeah, the models, there's a lot of models. This is an 82 GTI, single wiper GTI headlights. In the UK, these were only found on the GTIs, possibly. I don't think it's found on the GTs, but North Americans all had these headlights, and they love the Euro ones, and we seem to like these, which is usually the way, isn't it? So yeah, 82 GTI, that's a 91 Scala, I think. 84 GL Auto, non-kitted obviously. So yeah, but actual models, there's quite a few. So there's a Storm, which is the limited edition. I think it was about 600 done originally. Half were 300 brown, 300 were like a Cosmos blue. They all had the kits and the leather interior, Alecki bits and bobs. So yeah, they were top of the range jobbies back then. But you've also got Scala. This was a Scala. GT2. That boy down there's a GT2. GTS, CL, GL, GT, GTL, GTI, like this bad boy. GTX, GLS, GLI, and then you've got Tropics and White Cats, Legatos. I think they even did a champagne edition and some other bits and bobs. But I'll put a link in the description to Dr. Dub's Scirocco Storm page, which is on the Scirocco register, and that has got all the information from like model build dates, interiors, loads of stuff. But basically all the info you need on a Scirocco is pretty much there. I think there was about 290,000 built in total. Not a clue how many are left. Can't be a huge amount. I never see them on the road. So yeah, also came with sunroofs. The original ones are pop and tilt, or slide and tilt. solid metal, like this chap up here. But you do see them now and then with aftermarket glass ones, which just kind of pop up. If you get one with a sunroof, there is less headroom inside. I'm 6'2", and this thing's quite low on a pretty stiff suspension. I do whack my head on the sunroof if I hit a big bump, which is fun. So yeah, that's about it for the different models. Before you go and look at a car, there's a couple of things I always do, especially if you're in the UK. Go on the government website, look at the old MOTs, get the registration number off the current owner, put it in there, and you can see, I think it's last five years MOT. Check on there, see if there's any major rust issues. Check the dates of the MOTs as well, because if you see something's failed on a load of stuff and then miraculously within 24 hours it's passed again, it usually means something dodgy is going on. But also you can look at previous MOTs, find out if the work's been done, and kind of, it's like some bargaining chips. Some good information you can find out. Mileage as well, make sure it's all current, hasn't skipped about too much, or barn finds. This is a barn find. People go a bit crazy about barn finds for some reason. They think it's covered in a bit of dust, it's been in the barn, it must be brilliant. Well, sometimes for body wise, with rust and stuff, it's quite good if they're kept in a nice dry barn. But you've got a lot of issues with other stuff. Like this one was sat for a while, and well, that's one of the spring coils which has decided to snap. So yeah, anything sat for too long, springs get brittle. Rubbers, bushes and stuff like that, they all get a bit crusty as well. So barn finds are good if you get a good one, but don't pay over the odd just because it's covered in dust, because it's just ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, let's start on the body. Right, these are, what, 30 odd, at least years old now. So, first place to look is the rear of the arch, rear of the sills. They rust around here, they rust around all around the arches, to be honest. This one's not too bad, that one's quite bad. So yeah, check all the arches. Obviously if it's a kitted car, then it hides a lot of the rust, but they do rust underneath. So yeah, the rear of the arch, and this one's quite bad as well. They do have a habit of rusting around the bottom here as well, and around the rear valance. So especially if it's a kitted one, make sure you have a look underneath and have a look at that. But the major part really is up around here where the rear beam attaches. These rust out. Mainly start at the rear sill rusting and then kind of work their way up. If this rusts out, it's the worst part for rust basically. So make sure you check that both sides. Also check the whole length of the sill. They can rust out on the floor pan on both sides. And if you look at the front as well, the front's you can get built up of mud and it rusts out the front of the sill. Jacking points. These box sections here aren't actually that structural, but people decide to jack up on them. So if one's all bent in, it doesn't really matter a huge amount, but might be able to get a couple of quid off the price of the car. Oh, one thing as well, some cars come without front anti-roll bars, some don't. If you've got these brackets and you've got holes in the bottom of the wishbone, where are they? You see them? You should have an anti-roll bar. If you haven't, it's not a big problem. Some people upgrade, some people don't. Yeah, I've never driven one without, to be honest. So yeah, that's the main parts with rust underneath, but I mean, check everywhere. They're old cars. Top of the sills here they go as well, I found. Well, on this one anyway. And yeah, where else? windscreen, around the windscreen they tend to rust. This is all filled up now, but they tend to rust around here, which can let water in onto the fuse box, which is bad. Around the rear windows they rust along here sometimes, and also if you've got water leaking in through your boot lid, the water collects along here and it rusts all this out, which is a bit of a pain. So that's all the major parts rust-wise to check. Oh, hang on, one other bit. Front arches, obviously, as well. Is, see this one here started to go down here. These can rust out. These do get knocked, and also these can crack. That one's not too bad, but yeah, these can crack, which yeah, isn't fun. Another bit that cracks as well, which is well known on these, the clutch cable on the right hand drives comes through this little hole. This is an auto, so it's not as bad, but it's only thin metal, and this cracks. Then you get a crack up into this panel. You can kind of see better from. So yeah, double check that, because if that does crack and go fully, your clutch ain't going to work. You can put temporary fixes, you can get little patches to put on them, but you know, it's best to find one without. But it's another bargaining tool really, isn't it? So if you find one. Another thing to check, doors. You can see this one moves quite a lot. The hinges wear after quite a while, they can become rattly, and yeah. So yeah, body-wise, that's about it. I'll check these runners. They're a pain in the arse to find any decent ones. Once you take them, once you've taken them off, it's hard to get them off without bending them in the first place. These little parts snap off as well. They're hard to get, so double check that. Okay, next bit I'd say is probably check water ingress. They leak. I have done a video on water ingress and where to check, but basically check all round these areas, around the carpet, all around here. Make sure there's nothing wet, and make sure the carpets down the front aren't wet as well, because especially if you get water going down onto a fuse board, it can cause loads of issues. And you don't really want leaky issues, because that can be a fire, can't it? So yeah, body-wise, that's probably it, really. I mean, obviously check for crash damage and the usual, but they're the main places: rear seals, arches, clutch pull through, and the other little bits and bobs. Oh yeah, sometimes the sunroofs as well. This one's like a bit rusty around here, so it's worth it if it's got a sunroof to check, especially these runners, make sure it's not all rusting out. Okay, next thing to check, well actually another bit about rust. First off, check around this area. This is where the filler neck little attachment bracket attaches on the other side. That's where it's spot welded on. These can rust out. You can get big rust patches around here and it all rusts through. And obviously if it's too close to the suspension, that's a failure. So check on the inside. Some of them come with covers, so you might not be able to check, but you know, check as much as you can. Fuel filler necks are a bit of a pain in the arse on these. I now produce stainless steel versions, but they weren't really available for a long time. Yeah, you've got this section here, which you can see this mud all builds up in between the neck and the panel. It can rot out through here, around here, but it rots out the neck, which obviously it leaks fuel when you fill it up, and it sticks rust all into the fuel system, which ain't good. If you can see up here, if you can see too well, there's a torch gone. On. The bloody thing. Yeah. So if you look up here, the attachment up top there, these rust out a lot. So just try and make sure that's intact. That's why you should always try and wash down the back here if you've got Sirocco. And obviously, yeah, With the seal, as I said before. So yeah, so fuel system. Next number one thing. Quite a simple system on the carb cars. They just go into the tank, and then there's two lines, one out to the engine, and there's a mechanical pump on the engine. And then back again, the injection system is a bit more complicated because it's got accumulators which underneath which can leak, and well, they leak internally, so the accumulator doesn't do its job. The pumps are also like Bosch 044s, which are quite expensive to replace. Can replace with cheaper because it's quite a high pressure system. So yeah, the main thing with the fuel system is check the neck. If it is rusty, I sell them for 150 quid plus postage, but it's another thing I'd definitely check. Also fuel lines as well. These cars are old now. Fuel lines come up underneath the car and up through here, but these rubbers are, I mean, this ain't too bad, this one, but especially with the new like F&O kind of fuel additives they add and bits and bobs like that, it's definitely worth. Well, if you bought a car, the first thing I'd do is change the fuel lines, because I mean it's easy, it's just from here up to the carb or whatever, but it could save you from a fire. Also, very good idea is to, can't see it at the moment, is to buy a fire extinguisher. They're about 12-15 quid off eBay for a CO2 one. That's one of the first things I'd do if I bought a new one. Fuel lines and fire extinguisher, because a few have gone up this year as well. That's probably it for fuel. Okay, engines. This one is very grubby, but hey, it works. Quite a few things to look at. Oil leaks first, especially around the cam cover. You can see this one's quite leaky. They leak around there quite a lot. Also check down the bottom here, make sure there's an oil filter. See, this one being an old car, it's got the air-cooled oil filter, but they've got water-cooled ones on the more modern versions. So check that's not leaking. Obviously check your cap like usual. Make sure you've got no like mayonnaise or anything in there. That's a head gasket potentially, but if you've got an a water-cooled oil cooler as well, they can break down a bit inside, and that can cause water in the oil system, can cause the mayonnaise, so it's not always a head gasket. But anyway, yeah. Biggest thing I found on these to check is down the side here. These plugs, the wire, what one is it? I think it's this one here, yeah. It's that one here. I've had to fix it. Down the bottom there, I can't remember what it is. It's auxiliary air valve or something. That wire's not really long enough from factory, so the wire's split quite a lot. So check that. Check all of these hoses. All of them around here for cracks and any kind of issues. The biggest issue you can get with these is vacuum leaks in places. If it's idling poorly, just down the back here, you can kind of see that little kind of brass kind of screw. Anyway, yeah, a bit back right at the back. That's your idle control screw or idle adjustment screw. There's a little O-ring in there which gets a bit solid over time. Can let air past, and that can give you bad idle. But it's so easy to change, and it's literally just a tiny little O-ring. So that's a good thing if you go and look at one that's not idling too well. It could just be a very simple job. Obviously check your water, check around the battery tray. They can wash that around there, and just generally check it all over. Mechanically, most of the parts are actually still available. It's all Mark 1 Golf underneath, A1 chassis, so and running gear. So almost all the parts are actually still available. The brake suspension, exhaust, engine bits and bobs and service kits. Some of the Sirocco specific stuff is getting tough to find. Some of the headlamp pieces, bits of trim, bodywork and stuff like that, it's quite hard to find. But I mean, there's quite a few usually being broken. Biggest thing to check on the EX engine, the carburetted engine, is first off, has it still got the Pierberg? So a lot of people convert to the Weber, which I'm not sure if it's a better carb, but it's a lot easier to look after, and if you've got an issue, I think they're easier to diagnose. But yeah, this flange between the carb and the manifold, they split quite a lot. See, it's designed to wobble a bit. But when they split, they let air in, cocks up your fuel mixture into the engine, and that gives you bad idle. On this one, actually, it was so bad that when I used to go around the corner a bit too quick, it used to open the hole up a bit too much, and it used to kind of cut out a bit sometimes. Although that could have just been fuel starvation. Anyway, I don't know. So yeah, general stuff, engine stuff, cam belts, oil, water levels, stuff like that. Okay, brakes. So this is your standard setup. Discs up front, which are 239s, I think, and then your drums at your back. None came with rear discs except the 16 valves, which weren't really available in the UK. US cars, European cars did come with some, with rear discs. The handbrake mechanism within the caliper can be a bit sticky sometimes, so make sure the handbrakes come off properly. The brake system on these is, well, because the car's kind of designed to be left-hand drive, they had to get a bit inventive with the old braking system because there's not enough room on this side for a servo. So, I mean, you can't really see this stuff in the way, but the brake pedal goes onto that lever across the back into this box of goodies here, and into the servo and into the master cylinder. So the right-hand drive ones have got a bit of a poor brake feel, to be honest. The brakes do work if they're maintained well. They are adequate, but just adequate. This has got upgraded 256 16 valve Scirocco front discs, calipers and stuff. It's got a 9-inch servo, and it's got Passat, I think it's 22mm master cylinder. Yeah, this one stops well. But there's loads of different upgrades you can do with brakes, bits and bobs. But I'll do a little bit at the end about what I'd upgrade or what I'd usually upgrade. But yeah, brake wise, just, I mean, check that it's got enough fluid in it. Have a look, mate. See if you can see any cracked lines or any cracking in any of the rub hoses or anything. There's 2 hoses at the front, and then there's 2 at the back. You can't really see them too well, but yeah, you see the rear ones are up here for the beam. Yeah, probably it for the brakes. There's not really much to say about them, other than they don't really work too well. But yeah, okay. Electrical stuff. Just generally check everything works. Gauges and stuff like that. There's a earth wire. Where you gone? On the back of the. Here we go. See that earth cable here, just on the corner. That is very important. If that's disconnected or loose, there's a few earths actually, it causes you so many little, there's another little brown one here. There's so many little weird things the clocks and dials and stuff do if that's not working or that's not attached. So if there's a load of dials, gauges, or just rev count doesn't work and the lights on the dash and stuff like that, or a bit weird, then check your earths. Other than that, I mean, they're pretty basic. This one's got a little battery, voltmeter. Some of them came with oil gauges. Some of the cars came with electric windows, or the late ones come with electric windows. And yeah, central locking. I think Storms came with them as well, actually, standard. So some of the early ones did. So yeah, electrical wise, just check everything works. Make sure nothing weird's happening. Check your fan works on all 3 speeds. Check there's no water around this floor, because your water coming down into the fuse box and you're going to have issues. And water's not fun with electrics. Okay, this is probably the last bit, I think, to go through. Water check. Okay, bushes, especially if it's been sat for a while. Rear beam attachment bushes, these get brittle and crack, and they're not too bad to change. It's just you've got to drop the rear beam, so that means you've got to disconnect the brake lines, re-bleed the brakes, and do some other bits. So yeah, check them bushes. Also check front wishbone bushes as well. See, it doesn't look like it, but that bit there's actually the bush. They're quite crap, to be honest. And then there's the front bushes there. Also, I mean, cars are getting to 30 odd years old, so check the engine mount bushes if you can. Can't really see much. I mean, there's one down there. There's one on the front, which is like a donut thing, right down the bottom there. And there's one here on the side. And then there's one right at the back underneath. But yeah, give the engine a good wiggle. See, it shouldn't really move too much. But anything rubber like that, 30 odd years, yeah. Oh yeah, whilst we're here as well, it's good to check the underneath of the bonnet as well, because they do rust out a bit, and you can find bonnets. It's just you need to kind of find one close, because they're a bastard to ship. And then yeah, you've got the foam kits. I sell new ones of them, so if you find one with dodgy one of them, they're replaceable easy enough. I think that's about it. Okay, so that's probably it for what I would check. I get asked quite a lot of time about how much is a Sirocco worth, how much is this worth, or whatever like that. I mean, fuck, God knows. The price has changed so much, it's ridiculous. Some people have got complete sheds up for 3 or 4 grand. Some people got really nice ones up for like 1.5, 2 grand. So all I can say is just shop about, have a look on eBay, click the button for the sold prices to see what stuff sold for over the last 6 months, year, and just generally look about. But some people are asking silly money. Some people selling them for kind of what they're probably worth. But obviously it's different in different countries, and what year you're looking as well. They're slowly going up in value, so yeah. Right. Oh, modifications, upgrades. Okay, so modifications, upgrades. There's loads of stuff you can do to these. Yeah, there's shitloads of it. Wheel wise, 4x100s, anything Mark 1, Mark 2 Golf fits wheel wise pretty much. So there's the wheel options, there's loads. 15s, 16s are probably maximum size. 15s seem to ride best for me. These are BBS RAs, got them for about 250 quid. So there's quite a few bits about from. Wheels, yeah, 4x100. Suspension, lots you can do. There's cheap. This is on Joms, which are about 150 quid. Bone shakers, which are bloody awful, to be honest. I sell GAZ, GHA, which are rebound adjustable and height adjustable, which I'm running on my GT2, which They're very good. I like them a lot, to be honest. And on this, I've got Vitek, they're top adjustables as well. Hicon TXs, which are, again, very good. Basically, KW's rebranded. I think they've been rebranded again, Vitek as ST, but they're very good. So yeah, that's general modifications, kind of low it, stick it on a nice set of wheels. But yeah, there's plenty of other bits you can do. Lots of little bits and bobs about. Body kits. So this is a wide arch kit I've made for this. It'll probably be available again at some point. But yeah, if I was going to, the useful upgrades, I'd say from the start are headlight. Oh, I can't even see it on that one. The headlights are a bit pants. You can relay them, get a relay kit. Here's one of mine. They're pretty simple to wire in, and that gives you 12 volts to the headlights, rather than, I think some people check theirs and it'd be about 8, 9, 10 volts. So that makes a big difference. Nice easy mod. So yeah, the things I'd upgrade are, first off, is probably brakes, changing the fuel lines. Okay, so that's it. That's the guide to purchasing a Volkswagen Scirocco Mk2. Hopefully that's been informative on some kind of level. If not, I apologise. If you have liked it, please subscribe, because I like to feel loved. Yeah, if there's any other videos you can think of, anything you'd like me to do a video on, please add it in the comments. Also, there's some things you've come across as well when you've purchased cars. Stick it in the comments as well, so anybody looking at this can have a look through, see what other issues people have had. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye.